Alrighty, we are breaking into the Falcons defense. The first thing we're going to see here is we're sending, Caden Ellis on a blitz. He's able to get pressure on Geno, force a bad throw. We're going to focus a little bit on the coverage on the back end because I really think the more I've watched this game, I really just think our back end coverage, both from the linebackers, from some of the corners, from the safeties, it just wasn't good enough. And, I think that was the real issue. I think we actually got okay pressure today. Now, mind you, we didn't finish the pressure, which is always an issue. But, beggars can't be choosers, right? We can't sack anybody, so at least we got some pressure today, right? So, but anyways, when we're talking defensive coverage-wise, what we're doing here, so 3 over, so you have your deep boundary corners, your middle field safety, so it looks like cover 3 here, and you have your seam flat players. So we'll make them a different color. So seam flat, kind of middle hook player, but due to this tight end being here, he's kind of Jesse's responsibility because what the rules for kind of vertical coverage with this is you are going to carry them vertically. So if they come up here like this player does and breaks that way, it is this player's job to carry him. If the player goes to the flat like this tight end does, you're going to match him outside. So that's where you're going to see Bates kind of slowly feed outside. And then obviously your outside corners are doing standard cover 3 stuff. And you'll see Landman here. He doesn't really have a threat, so he's just playing his hook area. So that's what we're doing here. Coverage-wise, again, you can see Bates over here. He's playing that hook. And then he's going to see the release. He's like, okay, I'm matching him outside. We have the carry vertical. Now, they're able to get separation here because the easiest way to get separation against kind of the cover 3 family is just run away from people. So right here, he's just running away. This is a vertical stem. I know it doesn't actually look like a vertical stem because he's kind of running across the field, but it is a vertical stem. And that means we're going to carry it, and we're going to try to carry him across the field. And we get pressure, so they missed the throw. The throw was there to be made in the event there's not pressure, but since we do a good job blitzing, getting home quickly, forcing Geno to move and try to deliver it on the move, that's something he did well this game, but he didn't do it here. So it was a good start. Doesn't necessarily stay that way. All right, next one here. They're going to catch us in the cover 6. They're going to see us in the quarter half coverage. They're able to attack the vacated space with a Yankee concept, which is essentially kind of a deep post route and then an over coming across the field attacking to clear out space. It's wide open. We don't do a good job matching it because I assume this is either a mental error by A.J. Terrell, and later in the game he carries this route. So he matches with it in man and carries Metcalf across the field and is able to break it up. But right here, we're either having a mental error or coverage-wise, we're playing pure zone. Don't know. I'm not in the room. I don't ever pretend to be in the room. I don't know anything for certain, but I can't talk about what the coverage rules are. So again, we're talking quarter half coverage. Easiest way to do it is think about it in 2 separate portions of the field. So we'll draw a big old line here. So you have one portion of the field, they're playing quarters, so that means you have a deep vertical responsibility. You can think of it like lanes. The outside corner is responsible for this area. The safety is responsible for this area. And on the other side of the field, again, you're playing essentially what comes out to be like cover 2 cloud, where your safety's playing this whole half of the field, and then your corner here is getting some depth, and then he's playing that cloud technique where he kind of sits right here. So that's what we're doing on the back end coverage-wise. We're also, we're going to remember that there's a lot of vertical rules. So when this player releases vertically, you're essentially going to get a double team because you're going to carry people vertically, right? So right here, you can see he has outside leverage because he has inside safety help. So you're, again, carry him, force him to the safety. Unfortunately, like I'm saying here, we get Metcalf wide open because we are not matching him on the release. So in the event that you were matching him, like we'll see later in the play, AJ would just follow him. But this looks like true zone, cover 6 to me. AJ sitting here flat. And that unfortunately means that there's no one here to really carry Metcalf because, this linebacker has his flat responsibility, and then that middle hook player, he doesn't see him behind him. So to me, this is a play I'm glad they came back to later in the game, and they had AJ manned up, essentially matching Metcalf, and he was able to get a pass breakup. But early on, they beat us with this one. They got us. They caught us in cover 6. They were able to punish us, and it was a good job by them. All right, on this one, we're going to mostly just focus on AJ. I'll talk a little about the back-end coverage. To me, they're making a trips or tricks call where they are seeing the 3-by-1 formation of Seattle, and Jesse, therefore, is playing to look for any deep crossers coming across his face over the middle of the field. So that's kind of a common call to respond to 3-by-1 formations. And that's what the offense wants to do because they're essentially trying to isolate Metcalf on AJ. So when I talk about, briefly here the coverage, essentially this player usually would be kind of a quarter safety, and he makes the call that he's going to play for if there's any of these players coming across the field, it becomes his responsibility. So what offenses like to do is they like to do this 3-by-1 formation, shade the running back over there to make it even more stressful. It's kind of like a soft quad, and it allows them to isolate their one-on-one matchup here and get that outside release. Because again, this safety is coming down, so it just opens up this whole window. And that's where you really got to trust your corners, because this is a my guy versus your guy play. And, our guy holds up here. AJ does a really good job getting a hand on this, breaking it up. So that's really what I wanted to highlight with this one. We talked briefly about the coverage stuff just because, I think it's important to acknowledge what we're doing on the back end. And we're trusting our corner one to hold up, and he does right here. So, I think AJ's having a bit of a down season, admittedly. I don't think it's as down as some people think it is, but he certainly hasn't played up to necessarily the standard we need him to, but he did right here. So just wanted to put that on here to kind of highlight that. Another one, we won't focus too much on the coverage on the back end. I really just want to focus on the defensive line, being able to get some pressure. Grady and Ebiketie here do a good job on the stunt together, able to kind of get in Geno's fate. And, so we'll kind of watch it right here real quick. So Grady's coming in here, and then you're going to see Ebiketie come up and come around on the inside. So it works really well here. They do a good job here. So, again, Grady, Ebiketie coming back inside, gets through him. Geno has no time. Now, I also just wanted to put this one on here because I thought it was kind of funny. This cannot be what Seattle wants to do offensively. I mean, you don't have to be a guru here to guess that this sort of spacing is not what the offense is trying to do. Again, not sure if it's supposed to be like a flood call or something. I don't really know. All I know is it's not what they want. I can guarantee that, for sure. My guess is they probably want this player down to the flat, this player in between, and then he's probably running towards that back pylon is probably what they wanted to do. But it's not really what happens here. So, not ideal from them. But we do a good job getting pressure, taking advantage of their mistakes, getting off the field. All right, next one here, we got what plays out essentially like, cover one man. It could be some sort of cover three, some 3 over 3 under, with zone match principles. But in terms of how it plays out, it essentially plays out like man coverage. And we just kind of get worked. Simmons here, I think, takes too aggressive at an angle, trying to catch up over the middle, and it makes it really easy for a fan to kind of cut across his face and get a big play. And unfortunately for here, we're getting a little bit of pressure on Geno, like we did all day, I'd say. And, that's not to – I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and pretend our pass rush took over. But we were playing a very injured, offensive line, and we were able to get decent pressure on Geno. Not really a ton of sacks, but, we were able to get decent pressure. So, again, they motion here, and then you're going to see, Jesse and Simmons kind of communicate with the push. So, to me, that's at this point, they're kind of telling you to match up with the trips look, kind of lock it. And right here, Simmons is trying to come down, and he just gets worked right across his face. His hips are too aligned inside to ever recover here. And unfortunately, that makes it too easy of a throw to Geno. But you see, we're pressuring Geno. I mean, that's not no pressure. Unfortunately, though, when players are this wide open, because you can see that ball's a little inside. I'm not crazy here, right? That ball's a little inside. So since that ball, wasn't perfect, wasn't super inside, if we have better coverage, maybe we're breaking this up, maybe we're picking this off. There's a lot of things that could have happened. But in this case, we don't have good coverage on the back end, and they're able to get it pretty easy. Look at that. That's a very floaty pass. He has to stop to catch it. So we just got to hold up better in coverage. I don't think anyone on this defense is doing each other favors, because when we get pressure, our coverage isn't necessarily holding up right now, at least in this game. Our secondary has been good in general, I think, but in this game they weren't. And it really kind of caused the downfall, I think, defensively. All right, we got the next one here. This is that big trick play to Metcalf where, unfortunately, I think AJ plays this really, really well. But I think when he sees the throw, he thinks to himself, I can pick this. And in doing that and kind of spinning out of it, he gives up his natural positioning to try to make a play on the ball. And, Metcalf makes a good catch. So, unfortunately, just kind of sucks. So right here, I think he does a really good job kind of staying patient here, not letting Metcalf fool him. Then Metcalf's going to release outside. And we're going to see AJ do a really good job staying on top of him right here. This is not open. At no point is this throw really open. Even right here, once he throws this, I think AJ is like, oh, shit, I can make a play on this. So he spins out of it looking for the ball because he's expecting it to come down probably closer to, this area. But the ball just gets like really floaty, kind of underthrown. And again, Metcalf makes a great play on it. AJ, obviously, I think could have made a better play on it when it's in the air. I think he overplayed, trying to get the interception. I think the big thing he should have done here is just try to prevent, another big play. But I kind of see what he sees. So right here, he's like, oh, I can pick this off. Let me get over here. Metcalf just worked across his face and is unfortunately, the ball, he just misjudged it. So tough one. Again, kind of a fluky play. To me, that's not really getting beat because you're bad. To me, that's just getting beat in a bit of an unlucky way. So still a tough rep. Obviously, it's a big part of the reason we potentially lost this game. So we got to be better there. But I don't think this is a lose your mind type play. It just kind of is what it is. All right, we got the big touchdown before half. To me, my goal is not to throw blame around on this play. All I can say for sure is somebody miscommunicated. It could be Landman. It could be Simmons. It could be A.J. Terrell. A.J. is clearly expecting inside help. Now, is he supposed to expect inside help, or is he supposed to be lined up inside? I don't know. Is Nate Landman supposed to be that inside help? Or is Simmons, supposed to present kind of this, two-man look where the safeties, to me this plays out like two-man, where I don't think this is necessarily Tampa 2. I think it's just two-man with a deep hook defender. But either way, you can see based on AJ's leverage here, he's outside leverage. To me, that suggests that he's expecting either Simmons to kind of be a little bit inside on him and help him out that way. And maybe that's part of the, the idea, right? Like we're going to present, cover 2, make him think it's middle field open, try to get a pick by jumping a route and kind of tell our, cover 2 safeties to play inside, just present outside, look for that inside route. Or maybe Nate Landman here is supposed to just get all the depth and take away the middle field here. I don't know. And I don't pretend to know. And anybody who's telling you they know for certain, they're either connected more than me, or they're just, mad about some player and try to present blame. What I can tell you is the one thing I will not give anybody, slack for. Nate Landman here should not be on the field. There is zero reason, absolutely zero, this late into a drive. I believe this was a third down as well. And it was like 3rd and 17 or something. It was long yardage. There is zero reason to have 2 linebackers on the field. Why are these 2 players on the field? Why? It does not make a singular bit of sense to me. There is no world you can explain it to me that would make sense. To me, this is a total failure on Raheem Morris and Jimmy Lake in terms of putting the best personnel for the situation on the field. So you can be mad at AJ. You can be mad at Nate Landman. You can be mad at Justin Simmons. It could have been his fault, too. I don't know. You could be mad that, fucking Ebiketie didn't get a strip sack. At the end of the day, why is Landman even on the field? And he was on the field this whole drive. And they attacked him this drive. I don't understand the decision-making. I simply don't. And, on this play, there's a lot of people who could be at blame. It could be Simmons, it could be Landman, it could be Terrell, it could be all of them. Everybody could have been, wrong. Either way, I just don't think there's a defensible reason to have 2 linebackers on the field in this situation. So really tough play to give up. I think this was kind of when the game got a little bit out of hand for Atlanta. I don't think they had played terrible up until here. The offense was scoring a little bit finally. And this was just a disaster play. It can't happen. This one's going to be a little bit more personnel focused here. I just think this is the play where we really miss Troy Anderson. I just don't think Troy Anderson is getting burnt like this on a wheel route. Maybe I'll eat my words in a couple of games when he's back. I just don't think personally that Troy Anderson is going to consistently lose like this on a wheel route. So what are they doing here on offense? What are they trying to target us with? So they're doing their little 3-by-1 formation over here, sending some receivers up the field. They're going to be sending Metcalf here on kind of this, deep slant or whatever you want to call it. And then you're going to have the wheel route. And that's going to draw Caden Ellis over here. and he's just not going to be able to keep up with Kenneth Walker. So, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get to this, essentially. They're trying to get to Metcalf or the wheel. They like the matchup. So that's why they're doing the 3-by-1 formation, trying to draw our attention over there, create this one-on-one backside. Again, he's looking this way the whole time. He wants Metcalf, doesn't like it. All right, I got the wheel I want. Again, we're taking away the safety help over the top. And we just don't hold up coverage-wise. So it's a good job from Seattle by kind of identifying our weaknesses. Our linebackers up to this point had not covered well. So if I was the defensive or offensive coordinator, what would I do? I would say, hey, let's go put my dynamic running back in space down the field, one-on-one against their linebacker who hasn't shown he's very good in coverage. So bizarre personnel choices in a game that I don't even think Seattle ran the ball that well. They had a couple good runs. I'm not going to say they didn't do anything. Obviously, they had a big touchdown run. But I don't think they were so dominant that there's no reason you don't just, put, a dime package out there with an extra defensive back. So just bizarre personnel decisions to me, especially this late in the game where it was clear you were not getting what you wanted in terms of pass coverage. All right, earlier in the game, they caught us with this Yankee concept, and they were able to beat us because we were in kind of the zone, quarter, half look. Right here, we're in a cover one man look, and it's able to let us match up with this way better because AJ follows Metcalf across the field, and he's able to kind of get underneath his throw. And really, if the throw is any worse, I think we have an opportunity to pick this off. So, credit to AJ, not letting themselves get beat twice. I don't know if the first time around was a error on him. I don't know if it was an error on the coaching staff, not really considering the match zone idea. But right here, we're just running a different coverage, so it's not entirely applicable. We also get some pretty good, pass rush on this play. So again, zone indicator. Following this player out here is kind of a zone indicator. It's not a one-to-one. It's not always a guarantee here. But you can also kind of tell, just look at the space we have here. To me, it would suggest that we're running, cover one man if I was the quarterback. That's what we are running, so it works out for us. Obviously, they have a call they like versus. They're trying to get the runaway with Metcalf versus AJ. They think Metcalf in the open field is going to be able to attack that vacated space like he did earlier in the game. But we just do a much better job staying on top of it. We also get some good pressure on Geno. Maybe if Geno has more time, he puts a little bit of a better ball, kind of layers it over the top. I don't know. What I do know is AJ does a really good job staying in coverage here, and we do a good job kind of getting some pressure on Geno here. Again, Geno, from what I can tell from the film, it's not like he was under duress the whole game, but we definitely got pressure on him. The issue is we just didn't get enough sacks, and partially because we had too many players open downfield too early. We probably cost ourselves 2 or 3 sacks, I would say, due to poor coverage. We had the Noah Fant play earlier in the game that we were talking about, and I think we had a few others. All right, here, I wanted to just, put some of the good defensive coverage plays on here. I really, after watching some of these plays, I don't think it was as bad as the final score indicated. I really think that fumble and also the play before half really doomed us. I think if we come out there with a better game plan for that 2-minute drive, well, really it was a minute drive. They had like a minute and 7 seconds or whatever. We potentially have a shot in this game. I think the offense moved the ball, but it was kind of, similar to last year, I thought, where the offense last year moved the ball well, but we just had critical errors that cost us points, and I think that's what happened in this game. So right here, I just think Simmons does a really good job here. So they're playing kind of this cloud coverage over here, and Simmons does a great job driving down on this and banking on the ball, forcing Metcalf out of bounds once he realizes he can't make a play on the ball. So right here he's like, okay, I just need to get him out of bounds, and he does a great job doing that. It's a great play by him. I think I like what Geno's trying to do here. Hit that hole shot. It's one of the tougher throws to kind of punish cover 2 with, but if you can do it, it really hurts teams because that's what you just can't get beat with hole shots in cover 2. That's it's one of the hardest throws for a quarterback to make consistently. It's one of the plays that if they mess it up at all, you should be picking it off. So right here, we don't let them get away with it. We make a good play on the ball. I think it's a great job from Simmons after he kind of had a tough one early, against Fant on the tight end round here. I think he does a really good job coming down here and kind of helping out of bounds on Metcalf. We're going to end with 2 run plays on this one. I think Ellis would say he needs to play the outside gap, knowing he has Nate Lamb and is kind of that middle linebacker help. You never want to give up the edge in their run game. You always want to funnel towards where you have help, which is always inside. You can also see kind of Jesse's angle here. To me, suggests he's not responsible for that outside gap. I think he's anticipating the running back being more inside. So again, off the snap here, you see Grady kind of dice around. Ebiketti's playing there, Judon on the edge, and then Ellis here is going to come in and kind of man up on this player. And then later in the snap, he's going to basically shoot the inside gap, or he's going to get pushed there. If he just got pushed there, it is what it is. But to me, since we have Landman here, you would think that you would want to funnel him towards Landman by taking this outside gap or even just holding up one-on-one. That's how I would assume they would like this played. Again, right here, he seems to have outside leverage. And he seems to work back inside, probably sees this gap flash and is like, oh, okay, I can get this tackle here. And then, obviously gives up the big run. And, Jesse, you would like to see him make the tackle a little bit more downhill. Isn't able to do it. Bit unfortunate. Is what it is. Not going to make a huge deal out of it. I just wanted to include this because I think our run fits, have been issues over these past few games. I think, as good as Caden Ellis I thought was last year, I think he's been on a bit of a slump. We really need him to break out of it and kind of make some big plays. All right, another run. This one isn't, anything crazy, but it is an example, I think, of just not being on the same page necessarily with our run fits here by Landman. And I think it's been an issue with both of our linebackers this year. Gap guessing a little bit, not necessarily, always making the right read. Again, I don't want to pretend it's easy. None of this is easy. I'm not trying to start a hate train on anybody. That's the one thing I hope nobody uses with my videos. Please don't start a hate train on anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to analyze football in the way I know and try to, up the discussion. Again, don't hate on players, just discuss players. So, again, right here, Bates is coming screaming downhill. The flow of the players seem to suggest, Ellis here, Landman here, and then Bates has kind of that backside edge. And unfortunately, Nate shoots outside here. He kind of sees the running back. I get it. But when you do that, you're then giving up the inside leverage. You got to trust your teammates here. And again, it's not a huge run. It's 8 yards. But it is an example, I think, of what's been a struggle over the season, which has just been kind of the run fit. And this isn't the worst case scenario, as we've seen sometimes this season, as we saw in the big touchdown run. But it's certainly been an issue. So overall, from this game, I think the defense didn't play well at all. I think there were some baffling personnel decisions. I don't think the defense played as bad as I thought game day. And then I think the offense, this obviously isn't an offensive video, but I thought the offense played fine. They just got unlucky. Obviously, I think Kirk Cousins, kind of continued his trend where he's had a couple plays every game that probably could have been turnovers, and a few of them caught up to him this time. The sack fumble was a bit unfortunate because I think we were in a position to potentially claw back into this game, and unfortunately, it just didn't happen. So, tough one, tough L overall. I don't think it's one you get down in the dumps about. Seattle's a good team. They have a good offense. It is what it is. So that's all I really got. I hope we're able to, follow up with a good win versus Tampa. But, defensively, I think the biggest things for me is we need to figure out better solutions at edge. I think Ebiketti's finally playing better, but I don't think he's that sort of guy that you can really rely on him to be a top edge. And then I just think, secondary needs to get back to how they were playing. And then finally, the offense needs to just stop making mistakes. Because we've gotten lucky on a lot of these games with the mistakes not killing us. But on this one, they did. So just got to be cleaner. Not the end of the world. If you beat Tampa, vibes are right back on top. If you lose to Tampa, things get a little bit muddy. So let's just hope for the best moving forward.